it's not her place to make the decision for the lab. It was so borderline, and the doctor just looked at her and just said, whatever else happens, just send it.
Yeah. You could tell the GI is officially uncomfortable taking care of Paul.
And because the nurse said, I'm not going to take it, and I told her, I was like, that's not your place. I am extremely pissed right now.
Yeah.
She was super nice. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not like she was mean, but I just told her, I was like, listen.
She still disregarded your feelings. Good morning, everyone. Well, we're here in the hospital again. Another day with Paul. But we have some updating information. Let's talk about it. So, Paul, what's going on? Well, one thing, they kind of didn't really want to test Paul for C. diff.
C. diff, the requirements, like, the lab will not accept the stool if it's formed, like, it has to be diarrhea, basically.
Yes.
Now, when I came into the hospital, I was having diarrhea, okay? I literally had to be in the emergency room department bathroom, like the one that is public, and I had liquid diarrhea there. Now, when I got to the actual triage room, they're like, okay, the doctor came in, he's like, I'm gonna need a stool sample because since your wife had C. diff, let's just test you for it. I was like, perfect. The nurse that I had, he was an older gentleman. He was super, super nice, like genuinely.
Probably forgetful.
Yeah, like he just, I don't know what happened. He just forgot to give me the like hat thing that you put in the toilet to collect the sample. And I reminded him, he's like, yeah, I'll bring it right back. I
never brought it.
Like 3 times, liquid diarrhea, and he never brought it. So
and Paul was in that area of the hospital for like, what, 6 hours?
6 to almost 8 hours. I was in the ER triage room because I first was going to go to a COVID rule-out room because I had very similar symptoms to COVID. Then once the negative of COVID came back, they're like, okay, now we're going to put you in a different room. Yeah. So I was like, that's fine, and I had to wait more. At one point, I was NPO, nothing by mouth. So I don't have anything in my system to throw up or, poop out. So it's not easy because then I got to my room, like, here, give us a sample. I was like, I haven't eaten anything. haven't drinking anything. My stomach's empty. Everything's empty.
And I let Paul know, I'm like, don't let them assume that because you have stopped eating and drinking, you're healed, you're good, and they're gonna send you home. That was my worry.
No, and then finally, they allowed me to have some water. I had some like graham crackers. I was like, fine, perfect. I ended up going to the bathroom the next morning.
I saw the stool sample. It was like at first I heard the nurse, and she said she couldn't take it.
She's like, oh, it's formed. I can't take it. The lab's not gonna accept it. And I was like, that's not formed. It's literally, sorry to describe this, it's liquid diarrhea. 90% of it was diarrhea.
It didn't even look formed. So I was listening to the nurse and I was like, oh yeah, I understand. With C. diff, when I went through it, it was kind of the same thing. It had to be liquid. So when I went into the bathroom, I wasn't looking I wasn't looking out for the stuff, but I just saw in the corner and I was like, why didn't she take this? This is liquid. And I was actually stunned that she didn't take it.
And it
made no sense.
It pissed me off because she's like, yeah, I can't. So then later that day, again, I am on 2 different antibiotics. I am on steroids right now to help calm everything down. So what happens is, yes, all my Crohn's symptoms are slowly getting better because I'm on all these medications. So over time, I am going to start having more formed stool. And yeah, I went again, and the next ones they couldn't take because, yes, they are more formed than before. And I just telling them, I'm like, there was the opportunity was there to test for it. And because the nurse said, I'm not going to take it, and I told her, I was like, that's not your place.
Yeah.
Like, if it's like extremely formed how it is now, fine, I understand that. But the way how that was,
she should have took the first sample. I don't know why she didn't.
And let the lab be the one to decide yes or no.
Because that's what they did with me.
Yes, because Janice had it, and the nurse it was borderline, and she's like, I'm just going to let the lab decide.
Yeah.
No harm in setting it down. If they say no, perfect, no big deal. But I tried.
And Paul was mad that this nurse didn't take that route.
So my GI doctor comes in, and she's like, hey, did we ever get a stool sample sent down? And the nurse nurse goes, no, it was formed. And I interrupted her. I was like, the first one was not formed. And she's like, well, you know, the lab would reject it. And I said it to her in front of the doctor. I was like, that's not your place to make that decision.
Only a man would talk to a woman like that.
It's not, I'm not talking down to her because she's a woman or because she's a nurse or anything.
No.
It's because it's the truth. It's not her place to make the decision for the lab. It was so borderline. And the doctor just looked at her and just said, whatever else happens, just send it.
Yeah.
And the doctor, like, you could tell she was a little irritated. She's like, just send it. Okay? Whatever it is. If they reject it, they reject it.
And I stepped in as well just to show, like, no, it was, like, you know, I had C. diff. I know what they're looking for. And I was just like, I actually don't understand why they didn't take that sample. Now, once again, the nurse did take a while, and this is what me and Paul think, to collect that sample, the first one, or try to.
3 hours.
It was like 3 hours. So it was kind of, not to be gross, it was dried up. So she could have saw it and been like, oh, that puddle is a formed puddle. So maybe
she could have still sent it. Like, don't BS me. So I am extremely pissed right now.
yeah.
You know, the GI doctor, you know, she told me I am out of her scope, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I understand. I'm not mad about that. I'm just irritated because I was like, okay, so I'm on all this medication. Am I getting sent home with anything until I can follow up with, you know, my other GI?
His specialized GI.
And she's just like, I don't know. And I'm just like, so I'm on steroids. You can't just stop steroids one day to the next. I was like, you have to taper off of it. She's like, yeah, the attending physician will be the one to prescribe all that stuff. I was like, okay.
You could tell the GI is officially uncomfortable taking care of Paul. Like, you could tell, like, she just doesn't want to do anything because she doesn't know it's going to hurt you.
Yeah, I'm just to the stage where the medications, the biological medications that I'm on, they are difficult to handle, and it's just out of her scope.
And he has taken so many different variety. Apparently, once you pass 3 biological medications, you have to see a specialized GI.
Yeah. And
so
it's perfectly understandable. People go through it. It's not a big deal.
I'm just surprised, like, she was like, yeah, you can't see a regular GI anymore. You're too advanced. I'm like, dang, Paul, you just got worse from 1 minute to the next.
Now, I just got a text message from my pharmacy that they sent over 2 different antibiotics and they're processing my steroids. Again, you have to taper off of it. So it'll be like a 4-week taper of just taking a bunch of steroids, you know, for 7 days, and then another 7 days lower until you stop. And that's fine. I'm not asking for much. I'm just until I can get into my GI doctor. You know what I mean?
And don't worry, guys. Tomorrow I'm going to call immediately and be like, we need an appointment ASAP. It is the weekend, so the office is closed.
The doctor did say, my GI doctor said, hey, you can have lunch and tolerate it. You can go home. I'm still having the same symptoms that I did at home, where I eat and I get like a cramping feeling and I have to go to the bathroom. They recommended a medication that is like an anti-spasmodic medication to help stop the cramping, which I'm experiencing right now.
Okay, so a Paul update on his arms.
So,
still a bump here. Oh my god.
Yeah, you can see like it's still like a
He
little.
did get bruised pretty badly. What exactly happened?
So when I came into the ER, the guy did my vein is facing like this way. It's not, you know, it's not vertical. It's kind of like at an angle.
Yeah.
So when he, you know, stuck it in, he drew out all the blood. Now, instead of just leaving the catheter facing this way, he like put it there and then faced it like that. So then the line comes here, and then from here it has to bend and go in there.
Did that hurt you?
It doesn't necessarily hurt because it's the little rubber plasticky part, but it doesn't make sense because then as the line is getting tugged, it's like pulling and wiggling, and it hurt. When I got to this room here, the nurse had to flush it because it had been like 2 hours since anything had ran through it. And so she, you know, she swabbed it, she put the flush up. Now, usually the flush, you have to go slow like Janice, and you just like pulsate it to make sure it goes through, and I should taste it. She literally just went like put the whole like 10 milliliters like wow like that like really hard, and like I just got a shooting pain. I was like, what the hell? I was like, that's not normal. Like, I've never felt it like that.
I actually have felt that. I know what you're talking about. And they tell me when you feel that, that's time. That means it's time to replace the peripheral IV.
Yeah,
But it shouldn't have been that short though. It takes like 72 hours apparently, and then you're gonna start feeling the pain.
Yeah.
But not within like 24 hours.
Like, this one's perfectly fine. I can move. Like, I love it in the forearm because like literally I can still move everything. Like, it, it's fine. This one, I mean, it was so painful, and I was like, that's not normal. Like, I've never felt this. And she's like, oh no, you're fine. It's just because there was blood clogging it. So yeah, you're okay. And I was just like, no. I was like, that's not normal. I'm in pain. So she hooked me up and she's like, okay, we'll just keep an eye on it. I was like, all right, whatever. I didn't mind to it. I ate dinner and I literally just slept. In the middle of the night, the patient care technician came to draw some more blood out. And she's like, okay, looking at this arm. And she's like, well, you've already been poked 3 times here. Yeah. So she's like, all right, let's check this hand. And when they took the covers off, I saw the patient care technician just go, whoa. She's like, oh, is that where you're here for that arm? And I was like, no.
You guys made it now that I'm here for.
My elbow looks fine now. I had a golf ball size ball here that was like super squishy, just full of fluid all of my arm. And like,
quick question to all our viewers. Has this ever happened to you guys? That the line got placed out of the vein and then your whole arm is like a sausage?
Yeah, and I couldn't bend it. Like, I mean, it felt so heavy, so full. Like, I couldn't bend it more than like that.
Oh, wow.
And so imagine, then they stuck me here, and then this one was like, it's painful when you first get an IV. So I was like, here, just laying in bed. I'm like, I can't move. Can't do anything.
Yeah.
And it was overnight, so I was like, damn it, I have to wait for Janice to come do like anything. And I was like, whatever. But it's almost completely gone. Like, it's still... Like, I can feel it. Like, my muscles finally starting to pop out a little bit, but there's still, like, fluid here.
Yeah,
I feel it, like,
you could tell.
Swollen. So they just said take it a couple days. But thankfully, none of the medication that I have will cause harm if it stays in your arm like that. Some medications do. But the attending physician came. He talked to me. He's like, everything you're on is okay if that happens. The body just will absorb it slowly, and that's it. I'm pretty much good to go home now.
Yay!
I am irritated.
Yes. That's why he just wants to rush to leave, because he's getting like somewhat disrespected here, and he's not big on that.
To be dealing with stupidity. Just, they're going to send... The doctor told me, I'm sending you home with the same medications you're on. The 2 antibiotics, the steroid, and then I asked for the anti-spasmodic one for my stomach, which actually helped. And he's like, yeah, sure, no problems. Like, for me to get the same thing at home in pill, I'd rather be at home in my own bed and my comfortability of my home with my dogs and my wife than here.
Yeah. I'm the best caretaker, and I can beat any of these nurses.
That she is.
So guys, Paul could not last that long with the way hospitals and medical staff can treat him. And he sees I get it 10 times worse.
She does. And don't get me wrong, it's not all the nurses. There are tons of nurses here who have been super nice. They text everything, like, genuinely.
I have my favorite nurse. I love her.
Yeah. And like, it's not all bad. It really isn't. It's just there's 1 or 2 that will cause issues and kind of
just ruin your stay.
Exactly. Like, I'm sorry, I've never had this happen to my arm. Like, this genuinely made it worse for me here, because imagine, I literally couldn't go to the bathroom. I can't like bend my arm to pull my pants up. Like, now I can. Yesterday I couldn't.
Like, he's over it.
I'm just like, for this, give me pills and let me be in my bed at home.
So guys, this is pretty much where we end our journey for today. Don't worry, there's gonna be more journeys. What can we say? Some of you guys wonder, oh my goodness, do these doctors just want to drop you because you complain you're the worst, this or that? No, honestly, it doesn't have to be because of the patient and their attitude. It's because of their medical state and how their health is progressing. And for Paul, literally this hospital stay, his GI that he has seen came in and was like, yeah, I'm not taking you on no more. You intimidate me. We can't continue this. So, and that happens. Sometimes patients could get to a point of intimidating doctors, and it's okay for doctors to say, I can't handle you no more. You're out of my scope. and I don't know what to do.
And it's actually preferable
Yes.
for a doctor to say that, because instead of them guessing and saying, well, let's just see,
Or dismissing you.
that's the other one. They can just go, I can't handle you, and it's perfectly fine for a doctor to say that. And then you just go on to the more specialized doctor.
We're
No
not
big deal.
we're not mad at this doctor for saying she can't take on Paul.
No, not
We
at all.
actually appreciate it because we're like, okay, now we need to find somebody else who can truly handle Paul and his Crohn's. Thank you for not, dragging us around, saying it's mental, saying, it is what it is, deal with it, and leaving us with hitting a brick wall. This is much more preferable. So no regular GI can see Paul. Has to be someone specialized. Even this PCP came in and was like, you're out of my realm. Like, I can't handle you either. I didn't even know what to do for you. So maybe that's another reason why they're trying to kind of like brush you out, because you're so delicate at this point.
Yeah, but at the same time,
But do you guys see, Paul gets told that nicely. If it was me,
it's anxiety, depression.
I would have been
Pregnant,
told
it's
that.
fine.
Yeah, I would have been told all that.
You're just a woman.
Or, exactly. And they blame it on my genitalias. Maybe it's your menstrual cycle, guys. I don't know how many times I've gone to the gyno and got checked up. It's not my menstrual cycle.
Been told.
Phone call.
Janice has been told by other doctors, and I don't remember specifically, this was years ago, where they go, I think it's just something wrong with like your menstrual cycle, your hormone levels.
Even though I tell them, because the biggest question they've always asked me was, does this happen on a certain time of the month?
And we'll go to the gyno and they'll check her up and do everything and be like, you're perfectly fine. Why are you here? Like, you already did your visit. We'll be like, a doctor told us to come here.
There was one doctor, like, it was maybe my third time that year going to the gynecologist, and I'm more than okay to get checked up as long as we're gonna get somewhere with my health. Sure. If it's gonna cross out some of the boxes, sure. The gynecologist sat me down and she was just like, yeah, these doctors are just throwing you here, just trying to blame it that it's your cycle, it's your time in the month. And she's like, that's laziness on them. And once she said that, like, everything just shattered in my head. I was like, what? And since then, I'm just like, it's like another sexist thing. If it was something that had to do with his hormones, would you blame it on that? No, actually. Like, Paul, how many times have you been told, it could be, something monthly for you, or...
So, counting today, 0. And it sounds bad. I still haven't been asked if I have anxiety.
Not throughout this hospital
or
stay.
depression or anything.
No. You would have gone off if someone would have said it's anxiety or depression.
I would just sit there and be like, why do you think that?
Question them to, like,
Does it
acknowledge
say,
their stupidity.
Where does it say that? Say it on the chart? Who put it in?
And the problem is, whenever I ask that question, they say, oh, well, it's usually typical with the conditions that you have. But this is the stuff that we go through, guys. And even though you guys think we talk a lot about the negativity, we don't see it as negativity. It is bringing awareness, telling you guys this is not okay. Like, seriously. And if we don't bring awareness to this stuff, you guys wouldn't know what we truly go through and how much we have to advocate.
And here's another thing. When you have a loved family member, a spouse, or someone in the hospital, try not to leave them alone, because some people cannot advocate, especially if you don't feel good. You're kind of sedated, knocked out, whatever it may be. You may not be able to talk. You may not be able to come across the point that you need.
Yeah. And with my heart condition, guys, you have no idea how many times I really can't talk. So, guys, Paul is going to go use the restroom real quick, but I'm going to close it out for you guys. All right, guys, do not forget to check out our baby registry. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get some unique comments. Well, if you guys have just been in the hospital, should you even have a baby? Well, I think at this point it's a little late to do anything about it, because I am in my second trimester and I am happy about it. Me and Paul do not regret our decision whatsoever. We just know it takes a village. And don't get us wrong, we do have very close family members who live nearby who are going to help us as well. Pretty sure my mom's going to be at my house every single day for her grandchild. Sorry about that beep, guys. It's one of Paul's medical equipments that if he's not near it, it starts beeping. ignore it. We're almost done. So once again, definitely check out our baby registry. We can get all the help we can, love and support. We greatly appreciate it. We do not know if we're gonna do a baby shower. You know, with COVID and all, we need to think about that, think of this pandemic, and keep me and the baby safe. Because as of right now, our health comes first. So definitely check out our registry. We appreciate all the love and support. Guys, this is where we end it. I have a pregnancy headache, and that beep is not helping me. So guys, for now, adieu and goodbye.